Today on NewsWatch, Planned Parenthood funding fight. Will the battle to defund America's largest abortion provider lead to another government shutdown? Plus, desperate measures, border clashes erupt as Europe closes its doors on the flood of migrants, and
there is no getting away from the fact that he killed 4 people that day. But something happened when he encountered Ashley Smith.
A captive sets her captor free with the gospel of grace. Hear the true story behind the new movie. Thanks so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. A showdown over abortion funding is threatening a potential government shutdown. This comes as the nation's largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, finds itself in the spotlight yet again. As George Thomas reports, some members of Congress want the multi-million-dollar agency defunded of taxpayer money after undercover videos show top executives trying to sell aborted baby body parts.
Prayer.
The political firestorm over abortion is back, and those gruesome Planned Parenthood videos are once again taking center stage.
Anyone who has watched this videotape, I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain. This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us.
And now the chances of a government shutdown over taxpayer money going to Planned Parenthood are rising. Some conservatives in Congress say they will not support a spending bill to keep the government open unless that funding is cut off. The controversy erupted this summer when 10 undercover videos emerged showing Planned Parenthood officials discussing the sale of the body parts of aborted babies. Planned Parenthood says the videos are a smear campaign. Still, the House votes today on several bills, including one that freezes funding to the nation's largest abortion provider for a year while Congress investigates the group's activities. And the Senate plans to take up the issue as well. House Speaker John Boehner says the goal is to stop these grisly practices, but admitted it will be difficult to get the bills through the Senate. At the White House, spokesman Josh Earnest said the president will veto any bill that defunds Planned Parenthood. Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he's confident there won't be a government shutdown, but people on both sides don't show any signs of backing down. George Thomas, CBN News.
Congresswoman Diane Black points out her bill to defund Planned Parenthood won't hurt women's health care. She wants to funnel the funding away from America's largest abortion provider to give it to 13,000 facilities that provide health care for women. Black also says she will personally call every senator she knows to demand the Senate vote on the issue. Another victory for 2 religious institutions over the contraception mandate in Obamacare. A federal appeals court has upheld a lower court's order exempting 2 Christian colleges from that mandate. Dordt College in Iowa and Cornerstone University in Michigan face fines for refusing to provide insurance coverage for contraceptives that violate their religious beliefs. The Court of Appeals said Obamacare's contraceptive mandate and accommodation process substantially burdened the school's exercise of religion. Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis has lost another appeal. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals said she has to grant marriage licenses to all couples, not just to those who filed a lawsuit against her. Those couples received their licenses while Davis was in jail for refusing to obey a judge's order to do so. Meanwhile, hundreds of Christians cheered Davis's husband at a rally for Constitution Day in Nashville, Tennessee. Rafael Cruz, father of Republican Senator and presidential candidate Ted Cruz, was also there. Cruz, who is a pastor, said, quote, "The devil overplayed his hand when the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage." The Federal Reserve ended weeks of speculation Thursday, announcing it is not raising interest rates for now. Hints that the Fed would raise rates had caused fears of a setback for an already sluggish U.S. economy. For Chairman Janet Yellen cited a weak global economy, low inflation, and unstable financial markets for the decision. The Fed lowered rates for 2008 to stimulate the U.S. economy to help bring it out of recession. Not everyone agrees the policy is working. CBN economics contributor Stephen Moore says after 6 years of low interest rates, the economy is growing at a slow rate and there's low job growth. Worse than that, he says continuing this policy of easy money could actually be dangerous.
The problem right now, Lori, quite frankly, is that Wall Street is kind of addicted, like it's crack cocaine, to this easy money. And so what we've done, and this is my fear, is by printing all this money and keeping interest rates very low, so we have, just a huge flow of money into the economy, where is all that money going? And there's a suspicion that a lot of it is going into the stock market and that we may be building up another bubble. That's the worry.
The Fed will consider the issue again at its next meeting. That will take place in December. Croatia has closed most of its border crossings from Serbia after 11,000 migrants flooded the country. They're looking for new routes to Germany after Hungary closed its borders this week. The massive wave of migrants is becoming desperate, and violent confrontations with the police at those Hungarian and Croatian borders. Gary Lane is on the scene and has more from the Hungarian border.
Chaos at the edge of Europe as Hungarian police respond with tear gas, stopping rioting migrants from storming through a border fence.
Baby, gazik, baby, problem.
These migrants camped out on the Serbian side of the border after Hungary closed the crossing earlier this week. Instead of seeking legal access or alternative routes to Germany, some demanded immediate access to Hungary.
We came, our goal is to cross the border. Yeah, we will stay here until we cross the border. There is no alternative.
Hungary closed its borders because it requires prior approval and processing to enter the country. Hungarian border police have stepped up their patrols to stop illegal entry, and even Hungarian army troops are helping secure their country's border. As you can see, there are still some unfinished gaps in this 100-mile fence along the Serbian-Hungarian border. But I don't think anyone's going to dare try to get through here because look at this razor wire. That would cut them all up. Many migrants are seeking an alternative route, traveling through Serbia and illegally entering Croatia. From there, many hope to go on to Austria and finally cross into Germany. Zoltán Kovács is Hungarian government spokesman.
What we are trying to do is to fulfill our duty to defend Hungary's and therefore the Schengen zone's borders, apply the rule of law as it should be applied by all other member states. And as a matter of fact, we are being criticized for doing that.
The 29 European Union states require migrants to be registered at the first EU point of entry. Greece has not done that, so Hungary and now Croatia are attempting to do so. Also, while some states in the EU allow open travel, countries on the periphery, like Hungary and Croatia, must check migrants before they can cross into those areas. Kovács believes Hungary has gotten a bad rap. He says his country is simply following the rules and protecting Europe.
The sheer number is a security risk, and especially that these people are coming from conflict zones. You never know, even if they are fleeing for their life, whether they have fought before in a civil war in Iraq or in Syria. Obviously, this is a very, very serious security risk.
European leaders plan to meet soon to discuss emergency measures, including possible migration quotas for each member state. In the meantime, what does Hungary ask of Americans?
Don't ask from Hungary or any other European country a thing that you wouldn't do. That is letting in people without any kind of control and discipline.
Gary Lane, CBN News, Ruski, Hungary.
Palestinian Chairman Mahmoud Abbas says he plans to drop a bombshell at the end of his UN speech this month. Some Palestinians think it means he might announce his resignation. Others say he might cancel the Oslo Accords or suspend security cooperation with Israel. Abbas told an Arabic newspaper in London, quote, "I am not going to reveal now the nature of this bombshell." He is slated to address the UN General Assembly on September 29th. Some sources close to Abbas have said he plans to resign before the end of the year. Others are denying that. Today is the second day of court hearings for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl that could determine if he will face court-martial. Bergdahl was held prisoner by the Taliban for 5 years after he walked away from his post in 2009. He was released when the Obama administration set 5 Taliban commanders free. Bergdahl is now facing charges of desertion and endangering his unit. His attorney says he was not trying to desert, but was trying to report disturbing activities in his unit. Bergdahl's commander says he endangered thousands of soldiers who went searching for him. The 3 Americans who stopped a gunman aboard a Paris train last month were honored in Washington by the President and the Department of Defense. Alex Garlado, Spencer Stone, and Anthony Sadler were praised for their teamwork, courage, and quick thinking. Stone received the Airman's Medal and the Purple Heart in recognition of the injuries he suffered. Skarlatos was awarded the Soldier's Medal, and Sadler was given the Secretary of Defense Medal of Valor.
After they knocked out the gunman, they tended to other injured on board before paramedics and police arrived. It's an amazing story, right out of a movie. And Alex, Spencer, and Anthony have been rightly celebrated on both sides of the Atlantic.
That White House was amazing. I kind of just walked in and saw President Obama and froze for a second, and it was just unreal.
These two actually go back to about 5 years old. They've been neighbors all their lives, and then I came along in middle school, and these were the first two that I befriended at our school, and we've been friends ever since. It's been pretty amazing. I couldn't have picked a better two people to be with in this situation.
The young men attended a Christian school in California together. And coming up, the huge earthquake that rocked Chile. See what's happening in the aftermath of the tsunami that struck the coast. One year after the Ebola outbreak in West Africa killed thousands of people, there's new hope. The chances of another epidemic have severely diminished. Ebola survivor and missionary Dr. Rick Saker tells CBN News that cultural practices around symptom reporting and burials are changing. He says a new vaccine is also helping.
Has been popping up in different areas in West Africa over the last 40 years. There will probably be more outbreaks. But this does give us hope that, with a vaccine in our toolbox, if you will, it gives us hope, that we won't have another epidemic on this kind of scale.
The vaccine is also being given to anyone who's had contact with someone who contracted the Ebola virus. Cities along the coast of Chile are disaster zones today following Thursday's huge 8.3 earthquake. The powerful quake killing at least 12 people and likely causing billions of dollars in damage. As CBN's Javier Bolanos reports, many were concerned the resulting tsunami would do even greater damage.
There are serious structural damages to homes in the town of Illapel, close to the epicenter. Large tsunami waves were observed along the Chilean coast. In the city of Coquimbo, a wave was measured more than 15 feet, according to the U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center. Flooding caused serious damage to homes and public structures. Coquimbo Mayor Cristian Galleguillos reported the city had lost electrical power. Residents evacuated before waves started hitting the coastline. At least 15 aftershocks of magnitude 4.9 or higher rattled residents in the area around the first quake's epicenter. Fabricio Guzman, Emergency Communications Manager in Chile for World Vision, said the earthquake hit during rush hour, causing traffic chaos that left many people stuck in the streets as they tried to get home. Since 1973, Chile has had more than a dozen quakes of magnitude 7.0 and above. Javier Bolaños, CBN News.
Up next, the true story of a mass murderer whose hostage led him to Christ. Actor David Oyelowo takes us inside the new movie, Captive. And in today's family entertainment news, the real-life story that began with a violent crime and ended with a purpose-driven life hits theaters today. It follows Ashley Smith, the Georgia woman taken hostage by an escaped prisoner on a killing spree. I sat down with the award-winning actor who plays the killer, and he tells me his Christian faith led him to this role.
Those that have gone before us say no more.
British actor David Oyelowo became Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. when we last saw him in the film Selma. His latest role is quite the departure from the civil rights leader. Oyelowo plays Brian Nichols, the man serving multiple life sentences for escaping custody and murdering 4 people. in a Georgia courthouse 10 years ago.
I truly believe the film is about the fact that in God, no one is beyond redemption.
At the time that you first read the script for Captive, you knew you wanted to play the role before you even finished it? What is it about it that made you want to do that?
Well, I was so taken with the Ashley Smith character.
Captive is based on Ashley Smith's book, Unlikely Angel. Nichols held Smith hostage in her apartment for 7 hours after his escape.
You're reading on the page, she was a meth addict. She had lost custody of her daughter. Her husband had died in a drug-related incident. You know, this woman's life was on a downward spiral. How is it that this dark, dark event in her life inspired her and spurred her onto a life of purpose, a life of faith, a life beyond which the blessings she is now receiving in her life are spilling beyond her?
Ashley Smith is now a happily married mother and Christian who still shares her story of survival, reading the book The Purpose-Driven Life and the Bible to Nichols as he held her hostage.
I definitely thought I was going to die. And, you know, at that point in my life, I thought it was something that I deserved. My life had been so up and down, and I had reached out to God for help. And then when he began to help me, I would push him away.
Kate Mara portrays Ashley in the film.
I gotta use the bathroom.
Go for it. You use the bathroom. Everybody's gotta use the bathroom. The bathroom. We all gotta use the bathroom. Use the bathroom. Hey! What are you doing?
I can't go with the door open.
I'll turn around. Turn around.
I can't go with you standing there.
I don't trust you, Ashley. I don't trust you, Ashley.
Okay.
So what are we gonna do? You're gonna talk. You're gonna talk, all right? I'm gonna shut the door and you're gonna talk. All right?
Okay.
Hey! Hold on. That's it. We're gonna go to Mexico. We're gonna get that truck. We're gonna go to Mexico. We gotta rob a bank, though. Understand where we're going, Ashley? Where we're going?
Mexico?
That's right.
That explores the war between good and evil in both characters.
I knew by talking to him that he knew about God, but I also knew that he had done, you know, these horrible things. And I don't know, it was just I've been on both sides of that.
As a Christian, Oyelowo admits he was apprehensive about playing a murderer. Still, he approached the role with the same passion that drove him to play Dr. King in Selma.
One of the most interesting encounters I've had over the course of making this film is with Brian Nichols' mother. And she says she still can't believe this is her life. She still can't believe that was her son, which hints at the fact that he was brought up in a way that suggests that he wouldn't do something like this. I can't speak to whether it was to do with Brian Nichols' upbringing, but I know that, as his mother herself said, something in him snapped.
Do you feel that there was redemption for him and her in this film? I watched trying to figure that out.
Yeah, for me personally, I think there is the possibility for redemption for Brian Nichols, because at the end of the day, there is no getting away from the fact that he killed 4 people that day. There are lives that are broken by that fact, still remain in a place of pain over it. But something happened when he encountered Ashley Smith. He was stopped in his tracks, I believe, by the humanity she demonstrated to him, and she should have been his 5th victim. I mean, on paper, that is how that day was going to go, and probably he was going to be the 6th.
But God intervened, allowing Ashley Smith to live out her purpose.
Oyelowo was also a producer on the film, and he actually shot Captive before shooting Selma. More on that coming up after the break. Before the break, we took you behind the scenes to meet the stars of the new film Captive. Here now with a family-friendly movie review is Bob Waliszewski with Plugged In Online.
Mommy. Hey, baby girl. I love you. I love you too.
In the movie Captive, Ashley Smith's life is in shambles.
I hate this car.
Once upon a time, she was happy, but that was before her husband was murdered.
My husband's dead, and they said I was an unfit mother. Took away my little girl.
Since then, she's been swirling down the drain of life with an all-consuming appetite for methamphetamines. While going out to look for cigarettes in her car in the wee hours one morning, however, the things of her staggering life get even worse. She's grabbed and taken captive by a fellow named Brian Nichols, who's on the lam from the police. Back in Ashley's apartment, Nichols makes it clear that he's planning on staying there until the search outside cools. And the uneasy pair begin to talk, opening them both up to see some of the pains and woes that they have in common. When Ashley absentmindedly reaches for a Christian book a friend had given her, Nichols surprises her by instructing her to read it aloud. And so a drug-addled single mom and her dangerous kidnapper receive what neither would ever expect: a message from God.
You must begin with God. He expects you to make the most of what you have been given.
I haven't been given anything.
You have a son.
Based on a true story, some may think this faith-focused film is a bit gritty since it gives an unvarnished look at both Brian Nichols' awful crimes and Ashley Smith's devastating addiction. But it's also ultimately a redemptive story about two people whose unlikely collision with each other and with God changed their lives. So I'm giving Captive 3.5 unexpected moments of truth out of 5 for family friendliness. For a full detailed review, visit us at pluggedin.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Bob Waliszewski for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
And it is time now for your Friday Faithful, and I leave you with this thought. Life may be filled with uncertain circumstances, but God is always a sure thing. He is faithful, and He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hold to His hand and press forward. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd always love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend.